Let's complete our episode this week, episode 238, with a What's in the Box review from Bruce Purkey. Welcome back, sir. What is the movie you are reviewing that I think
Wow,
most
it's so
people have seen?
formal.
Yes, I think Eric Holmes. Have you seen Cinema Paradiso, Eric Holmes? Ever?
Yes, I did.
Okay, what is your thoughts? Why don't you hijack Bruce's segment right now? Your quick thoughts on cinema?
Just real quick thoughts. I should have watched An American Bombing before starting Cinema Paradiso.
Oh, did you? You didn't watch it again, did you? No, you didn't have time to watch it, did you? Did you actually
No.
see it?
Yeah.
You watch it?
Yeah.
Oh, wait, was that your first time watching Cinema Paradiso?
Yeah.
Oh my God. Okay. Okay, Bruce, lead it away. It's your segment.
Yeah. So this is one of those. So I think we all have these. I think pretty much every movie fan has these. These movies that are like beloved or classics, or everyone's talked about them forever, and everyone just knows what they are, but you just never watched them. Whether it's
Christmas Story.
Casablanca, Christmas Story, yeah, whatever. Pick this movie that is kind of legendary, I guess. And Cinema Paradiso is one of those movies from 1988. Directed by oh boy, Giuseppe Tornatore.
Giuseppe Tornatore. Giuseppe Tornatore. Yeah.
Thank you. I'll call him Toto. I wonder how that came up. So, basic concept is, well, it starts out and Alfredo has died, and Alfredo was somebody that was very important to this guy Salvatore, who goes with Toto. So you immediately flash back to Toto as a young child, where he is obsessed with films and getting into the projection booth of the local Cinema Paradiso. Alfredo is the projectionist, and he at first is kind of trying to always kick out Toto. And of course, the whole idea is this is kind of the life of love of movies by Toto, and kind of the different ages it happens to him when he's a little kid, when he's a teenager, and then you kind of have him coming back after the death of Alfredo to the town to see what has happened as an older man now himself. There are some, and early on, the main thing you see very, very beginning is they will screen movies first for the local priest. And the priest sits there with a bell. And basically, anytime that there's something that's unacceptable to be seen by the public, usually it's kissing or, not really much nudity in those days, probably, but anything considered too risque, he would ring the bell and then get all upset, and they would mark the film where they need to edit it, and they would edit it out. And
clip it out.
Right out of they'd clip it out. They'd cut it out of the print.
And
that
was Alfredo's job. Alfredo had to clip it out.
Toto immediately wants to steal all those pieces, and Alfredo's like, heck no, you don't do that. I'll get, no. And eventually Alfredo kind of warms up to Toto and lets him start actually learning about films and projection and all that stuff. That's the basic concept, is kind of the lifelong love of film and how it affects this young child. And by the way, the young child version of the story takes place shortly after World War II. Toto's father has not come back from the war, which we can guess he's probably didn't make it back from the war. So he's kind of a fatherless. His mom is there, of course, but he's like a lot of young children after World War II. They kind of are, running around and just getting into trouble and stuff. And they're a little bit adrift because half of their families have been lost a lot of times in those days. So he's finding a lot of his meaning and stuff from film.
And we also have to mention that Toto eventually grows up to be, not you mentioned that when he's an adult, but then we also see a little bit of his coming of age in his teen years, when Toto is now called Salvatore, and Salvatore he falls in love with this new girl who comes into town. Her name is Elena, and you get a little bit of a subplot in the middle of the movie regarding his first love as a teen. Also, Bruce mentioned the death of Alfredo at the beginning. So ultimately, this movie is one big flashback until it isn't, and then it comes to a crescendo with the final moments of Cinema Paradiso with a not too subtle score from Ennio Morricone.
Yeah.
That score is slathered all over the movie. If you have some really great memorabilia or have a very sentimental attachment to the movie like I do, I can't get enough of the score. I've bought the CD maybe 5 or 6 times and lost it over the last, 30 plus years. I love it, the score. Bruce, your thoughts on the score? Was it too much for you?
It was fitting for the movie. I mean, the movie overall is a little bit much for me, but go ahead. Let's see what Eric has to say.
How dare you, Bruce? Yes. Eric, can you bring a little bit of, just a little bit of lightness and logic to Bruce's just horrific remark on, I take umbrage to that. What did you think of Cinema Paradiso?
This movie nailed Steven Spielberg's Schmaltz for sure. Has plenty of that in it.
Uh-huh.
Wow. I really liked the early parts between Salvatore and Alfredo.
Hmm.
And then once it got like, it was slow going. I wasn't really digging it. But then eventually I kind of warmed up to their relationship. Once he got to his teenage years and throughout the rest of the movie, I just started just checking out. I'm like,
You guys are talking about one of the
the movie's done. Let's end this. Like,
really.
I think once I don't know what can we say and what can we not say about this as far as like spoilers. There's a thing that happens halfway through the movie.
Yeah, right. Yeah, definitely do not mention that part. Yeah.
Okay, so I don't know if you've seen Transformers the movie. There's a part halfway through the movie
I can't
where
believe.
where Starscream something happens to Starscream. And that's the point where Transformers the movie starts taking a nosedive. There's that exact same part in Cinema Paradiso where once it hits that part, I don't care anymore.
96% Rotten Tomato score from people who are living and breathing, hopefully most of them on Cinema Paradiso. You mentioned Schmaltz, you mentioned a Transformers movie, and you a bit much. Bruce and Eric, who are these people? Are these co-hosts of CinemAddicts? Eric Holmes, keep it on, keep going. I want to hear it.
So yeah, this kind of reminded me of like 400 Blows when I first saw it for the first time, where I was like,
all right, that's a classic film.
Why this? Like, why is everyone so falling over themselves over it? I hate 400 Blows.
You hate
boring.
the 400 boring. Yeah.
That the 400 Blows. It was one blow. That movie blows.
Hey, Francois Truffaut, you blow on the 400 blows. That's amazing. Eric and Bruce, without giving too much away, the ending of the movie is supposed to be very emotional. Me, as an 18-year-old, I was teary. Eric and Bruce, tell me what your feelings towards the end of the movie. Were you just glad it ended?
I was trying very hard to stay awake by the end of the movie.
Honest review, Eric. I'm kidding.
That's why I said I wish I watched An American Bombing before Cinema Paradiso, because then I would have just been wide awake through the whole thing. Granted, I wouldn't be paying attention to the movie. I'd be just raging inside my brain about what I saw about An American Bombing. But
I'm glad you said this. I'm glad you said this. You said it's boring.
Yes.
You were bored by it. Do you have any kind of inkling, and I mean this truthfully, why people like me or a lot of cinephiles fall head over heels for Cinema Paradiso? And Bruce, I'll probably gonna ask you the same question.
Probably the first half of it, and then I think for a lot of people, maybe they just carried it throughout the rest of the movie. I can totally see that. It's just once I can't even talk about it. Once you get about to the halfway point, for me, the movie was done, and it never reintroduced anything that I cared about.
Fair, Eric. Bruce, do you agree with what Eric Holmes is saying? Do you have an idea of why people like me? Is it just a sentimental attachment to it?
I mean, definitely a sentimental attachment. I think it's because of the nostalgia of a bygone era of communal experience in the movie theater and like the specialness of everybody like experiencing that same thing in the theater. But I mean, I was around in the late 60s, early 70s seeing movies in theaters. And maybe that was, they did in Italian cinema. They didn't do that kind of stuff in American cinemas. I mean, sure, there's much more of a communal experience and you had those grand cinemas and I like that kind of stuff, but it was so schmaltzy. It was so sappy.
Did you roll your eyes at the final moments of Cinema Paradiso?
I'm honestly trying to remember what happened now.
That just breaks my heart.
I mean, I know what happened to the cinema, but I don't remember. Yeah.
Well,
I remember now. Oh yeah. No, that was super sad. I saw that coming a million miles away. I was like, oh yeah, I know what that's gonna be. Yeah.
I'm gonna just say this to cap the end of our show. Me as an 18-year-old at UCLA. Okay, I'm gonna mention my alma mater, UCLA. I'm a UCLA Bruin guy. I was at the local eatery near, I think it was North Campus. No, actually, what was it? South Campus? One of the campuses, the artistic side of the campus. So it was lunch, and I was right next to this really beautiful girl. Okay, and I thought to myself, I had just seen Cinema Paradiso. I thought, wow, this girl is so beautiful. I need to say something to her. I was inspired by Cinema Paradiso, and we were holding our trays right next to each other, and I saw a mango. And I just said, oh, by the way, you should get a mango. That's a really great fruit. Me being Filipino, I should know. And then she looked at me like really weird and she just, I think, laughed a little bit. I was trying to do my Woody Allen shtick with the whole me trying to be funny Greg. Ultimately, we sat down and had lunch together for 30 minutes. I asked her what her favorite movie was, and she said Cinema Paradiso. And I remember to my horror, this is like almost, this is not as bad as the coffee table kind of horror. This is a horror because we're getting along for 30 minutes. She's so beautiful. I did not ask for her number, and her favorite movie was Cinema Paradiso. She walked straight out of my life. Story of my life. Had some really great memories of Cinema Paradiso. This is one of my all-time favorite films as far as nostalgia level. Would have to do a rewatch. By the way, you guys will never see this, but the actual longer cut version is, I just did not like it one bit. I love this movie, Cinema Paradiso. 90% from critics, 96% from the mass, from cinephiles. I'm giving it 5 stars. Bruce Purkey, your rating on Cinema Paradiso. I can say that because I've seen it 4 or 5 times. Bruce.
If I was generous, I would give it a star for every day it took me to finish the movie, which was 3, but I'm going to give it 2.
2 stars for Bruce Purkey. Very good, Bruce. I respect that. Eric Holmes.
I think I'm on the same page. I'll give it 2.5.
Oh, you're being nice?
Because there are like a couple like little tiny things in the first half of the movie. I probably give like 3.5, 4 stars. The second half I'd probably give like half a star because there was just nothing in the second half that I cared about. And yeah, I like the relationship, but man, that second half was rough to get through.
Okay, 5 stars from me, 2.5 from Eric Holmes, 2 stars from Bruce Purkey for Cinema Party. So that is very interesting. We are not going to Bruce, you want to do a box pick, even though we're not going to do Patreon, or just going to do it next week?
We'll do it next week because I'll forget if I do.
Okay, yeah, that's fair. Fair enough. How dare both of you levy that rating? The coffee table you guys like better than Cinema Party. So final thoughts, Eric Holmes.
Well, I'm also the guy that thinks the Godfather movies are overrated, so take that into consideration as well.
Okay.
No, yeah. Check out everything we talked about today. Even Cinema Paradiso, if you must.
If you must. Bruce Purkey, we're out. Go ahead.
Oh, I would just say, if you want to be a little more successful than Greg was, you have to follow Cinema Paradiso, and you have to like creepily film her from behind some some bookshelves or something.
Do not do that. Do not do that.
Do that. Bruce, that is such a dig on Cinema. I love you for that, man. All right, we'll see you here next week here on CinemAddicts.